Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's the day we got to try to get this intercooler mounted up, get this motor off the engine stand, do the rear main seal, get the pilot bearing in, start getting this car assembled. We don't have all that much time left, so we got to get things going. Hope you guys enjoy. Well, we have fiberglass dust everywhere from cutting this thing out. Always make sure you wear your PPE, wear your respirator to cut out this fiberglass. It is everywhere. But I think I got the intercooler fitting pretty nicely for now. The radiator will still fit in perfect. It's sitting back quite a ways. Pretty nice. I'll have to make some brackets off the top. Yeah, this fiberglass is everywhere. So I'll make some brackets. Top of the cooler, come mount up to the radiator support. Ready to drop this one down off the engine hoist. Take this one off the engine stand. Do that rear main pilot bearing and set her down in there. So I did motor in and out twice. First time was for the sway bar mounts. Both sides just touched. Second time I had to pull it, the turbo flange was just hitting right here on the frame rail. So to play it safe, cut them out, grind everything out, and now I can go back in. This should be the last time. It should be in for good. All right, the motor's finally in there for the final time. Third time's a charm, like they say. Here's that sway bar mount. That's how close it was. Couldn't do nothing about that. Like I said, it was so long since this motor was in a car, I just kind of forgot. And then this one, you can see the mount. And then I had to notch that frame just a little bit. Downpipe sneaks right down here, 3-inch downpipe. Wise back to 2.5-inch exhaust. I have a few things hooked up, fuel lines, heater core hoses, injector harnesses in, plugged in. About to lift the car up, let the engine hoist down, put the bell housing on, start the underside, and then I'll come back and wrap up all this stuff later on. Right before I was about to go up in the air, I noticed that the fuel pump relays, because this harness is out of a 93, are right. I located them right here when I built this car, but I just moved them through, and I'm gonna wind up relocating them in the inner fender. I snuck them through this hole back here, so I'll move those two relays. One's a wide open throttle relay, and then the other's a fuel pump relay. Flywheel's in, torque down. I use Permatex on these when I run them up. Torque spec 65. And then I have Loctite ready to go for the pressure plate bolts. Clutch pressure plate. And years ago, I cut one of these shafts off the front of a T5 transmission. Just an alignment tool. You can buy them, but this one I like it because it holds it so steady. And then you can line up your dowels, start putting your bolts in. Some people watching may not know. So when you run these up, sometimes the pressure plate doesn't sit on these dowels perfectly. So it could cock these fingers, which is critical because your pilot bearing is inside, and how everything flows nice and smooth. Your throwout bearing runs on these fingers and pushes and activates the clutch, deactivates it. So just make sure everything's sliding on the dowels right, your alignment pin's working, and when you tighten the pressure plate, crisscross like you're tightening a tire until everything's snug, and then you can go and torque it. Bell housing's up, clutch forks in, throwout bearing. You use a light film of grease anywhere the cable's going to touch, where the throwout bearing is going to touch the fork spring, and then where the ball is for your bell housing to fork, just a little bit of grease, just to make sure things are flowing smooth. Don't over grease. You don't want grease flinging all over the place. Just real light. Transmission's in, drive shaft, cross member, trans mount. had the axles out of this to replace the bearings. I should have videoed more, but all that's back together. They are small 9-inch ends. This is a spare axle that I have sitting around. People that may not know, these bearings don't just press off. You have to cut this collar off, and when you buy new bearings, it comes with the collar. You just have to know the size, if it's a small forward 9-inch bearing or is it a big, and then once you do that, you can press both on at the same time. I should have showed you guys that, but both sides are back together. Just made this little bracket for the T-Rex pump. It's like a little booster pump. It'll mount right here on that fuel tank strap. The one line will go up, connect to the fuel filter, and then the return. Fuel pump's all mounted, nice and neat, out of the way. Hoses are routed, power wire, and it's grounded. Crossover pipe from header to header is on. Wastegate's on. So here's your wastegate. Here's your blow-off valve. That comes out of the intercooler as that pipe routes, and the inner fender will go to the throttle body. Then the other coolant tube, well, cooler tube, goes to the turbo and into the intercooler this way. And then the intercooler is mounted. I had to make two little tiny brackets to hold it up above on each side. These are the little brackets I made up. Just something quick, just to hold the intercooler. Then you can see the turbo pipe to the one side of the intercooler. Just something to fix it. It's not going anywhere. Crossover pipe. I'm gonna have to do something here from this header. I'm gonna make up a little heat shield just to protect that a little bit. I'll bend it up. So before I put the downpipe on, I gotta do the spark plug wires. And the downpipe is very close to everything. So I'll show you what kind of wires I use, just to try to help with the heat. I use a ceramic coated wire, and even you can still see they're older, but I'll put a heat sleeve on them and it still gets extremely hot. Here's a couple of variations of heat sleeves for different, say, water lines or a radiator, smaller radiator line, turbo wrap. These are some bigger ones for some hose. There's a new set of the ceramic end wires, 45 degree. Just because this downpipe is so close. This downpipe is that close, and the wires have to sneak in right here where my thumb is, down to the spark plugs. Here's our number 1 cylinder right there. 2, 3, 4, just real tight. So you try to use header wrap or whatever to protect everything. It's just tight clearance. All the way down to the firewall, it's tight. I add a little bit of a dielectric grease to all my ends, just so I can get them on and off a little bit easier without pulling the boots out. This is how close the downpipe is. So this is why I use that insulator on this car. And then I put all those spark plug boots and use the ceramic ones. It comes right in here and sneaks down right on the firewall. So it's just real tight on this kit. And then I get a little bit of longevity out of the wires, but that's how it'll look. And here's a look from the bottom with this downpipe. Just squeezes near the bell housing and the floor and the firewall. Just makes it all. And then here's another V-band, and then the rest of the exhaust will go on. The exhaust is all back up. I'll show you how this Y's in. So it's still 2.5. And then it Y's right here. Goes to your 3-inch. And like I showed you, it just sneaks by everything. Fits really nice. All right, so all the turbo stuff's complete. downpipe, full exhaust is done. Cold side through the intercooler is done. Power steering lines are on, wrapped with that heat shield that I was talking about, just because of the crossover plate. I still have to do a clutch cable, figure this out, but it's coming there. I'm going to test fit the radiator real quick. All right, now I feel better about calling it a night. Radiator's mocked up, fits. This radiator was already in there. It's a little bit tight, but it works perfect. I just got to finish wiring up some things. Clearance, everything's all good. It's bolted down. I got to do the lower hose and the upper hose. That's no big deal. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully next time you guys see this car's starting. I know I got to wire some things in. The ECU, I have a few more things. I have a list written down, so cracking away at it. Only a couple days to go. Then I got to start packing for this trip. Hopefully everything works out and there's no unforeseen things that pop up. Y'all have a good night.